Uh, Ride as we flow. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trowel. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trouble. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Don't get caught up in the diddy distraction. It's just an illusion. Fraction of the extended destruction. Like Brunson at the garden. Temporary reprieve from your problems. Mental colonization. You know, they shiesty when they weaponize religion. War infraction. Nations against nations. The Jews against the Palestinians. Russians against the Ukrainians. China, Japan, India, Pakistan, Dominicans, Asians, Guatemaltecans, Belizeans. The elite is all about wealth distribution, world domination. I'm bringing bars with heat like beats from honor domination. Final conclusion, nuclear intervention. While in the hood, guns and sirens still blazing. Mothers in agony, screaming. YNs seeking instant gratification like Kelly streaming. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trowel. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Gem out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the towel. Lineage, Masonic, without the trouble. I'm highly decorated like the Joint Chief of Staff. Oh well. Paris, topics of the day. Imports, exports, ships idle on the dock of the bay. Monopoly, Wall Street, financial experts. But the consumers is the one that has to pay. Systematic design to keep us behind like they don't know. We're the ones behind the fashion, the music, the culture, where their offsprings come to nurture like Earth, Mother. But our journey be easier with the involvement of the Father. New World Order. Imagine coming to America and be trapped inside the border with fake friends that's like 4 quarters. They would change for $1. The rapture, brother against brother, rather side with the other. The scripture, the Bible, Cain and Abel. Judas was at the table. When I pass the graveyard, I don't whistle. Cause like most genius, I'm unstable. You existing in the zoo, I'm thriving in the jungle. Plus I just look like this. I'm deceptively efficient. My mental poison be potent. Keep that mumble rap. You incoherent. The university is on.
Good evening, greetings in the name of is good. We're on once again. I invite you to join us for the next couple of hours on our weekly podcast. We do this every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. I am G. Michael Reed. I'm joined normally by co-hosts Jeremy Spooner and Joe Coe and Gregory Morrison. Diverse views. Everybody has their opinions and their take on things. We deal with the trending topics, things that are happening in our daily lives. We have no agendas, political, personal, religious, no hidden agendas. We look at issues in a full frontal way. That's happening across the world, actually. In Belize, it has been a bit quiet the last week, except for a couple of murders. And here we have joining us this evening, the representative of the entire Caucasian ethnic group, Mr. Jeremy Spooner. Makes no
okay. Private citizen
Spooner. They out there to protest again. I see the members of BTL, the ex-workers actually.
Yes.
You're aware of what is going on there, what it's all about?
I think those are the people that are not only claiming their pension, but their severance also. Is that correct?
I believe that's some severance pay. I don't know that the pension is in question because they might be getting or
So it must be the severance pay
it's the
then.
severance pay that they were entitled to.
Yeah. I don't know
Uh,
what the law is if you get a pension, if you are denied a severance pay. I would say that I had to pay severance pay when we closed down during COVID. That there was one staff member who had been with me for over 10 years, and so I had to pay her severance pay. But I don't know. This is a not big company that not only gives a pension, but I don't know how the severance pay fits in there. Do you know? Are they due? They say they're due their severance pay, correct? Is there a
yeah,
law that protects them?
apparently there's a lot that came on board because since they did that, I'm interested as to you drinking your whatever they
Coffee.
drink. They will have an exact same cup. I went to Brothers and I saw the cup and I liked it and yeah.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
My son bought this for me.
It has a nice it holds a nice amount actually
Yes, it does.
because I like in the mornings a good cup of coffee. Yeah, man, but I am not 100%. I'm hoping Joe can come on and maybe give us a little insight into that.
Yes.
But I was thinking when you said that you had a worker for 10 years
Over. Yeah.
and you had to pay, I would imagine you would have wanted to give us something anyway for that kind of.
Yeah. What it is, I believe it's after 5 years they're owed severance pay, and the severance pay, I believe, if I remember correctly, is 1 week's wage every year above the 5 years, including the 5 years plus over.
1 week
Okay,
per
that's
year.
yeah, your weekly wage, one weekly wage for every 5 years that you for the 5 years you work plus any years after the 5 years. So she
Okay.
worked for like 15 years, so I had to pay her 15 years.
Wow. So, but what happens if a company goes down under, like bankrupt, and they don't have the money?
Well, I guess then you're excused because that's what's the whole point of a liability company is all about. You claim bankruptcy and then you don't have to pay people back or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Interesting.
You're
I
screwed.
I noticed that the opposition did not jump in on this one because they were there with the when they were the acquisition protest, and it seems that has been put on hold, which
Excuse
might
me.
be a good thing.
Yeah.
It,
Well, they had a show last night. I don't know if you saw it. Aria, is it Lightfoot? Aria Lightfoot, is that her name?
yeah, that is her
Yeah,
name.
she had a podcast last night, and she had Daryl Bradley, Anwar Barrow, a lady called Langsford, and another guy called Westby, and they were talking about the BTL acquisition. And Anwar was saying, if I got it correct, that yes, the two companies, SpeedNet is a private company that owns Smart,
Right.
and Belize Telecommunications is what owns BTL, and they are private companies. But the fact is that they're considered public when you look at the government of Belize has 51% shares, and then Social Security has another 33 shares. So the government of Belize, with the amount of shares that they have, they can have a lot of people on the board that would stamp everything that they want them to do. No?
And that's all on behalf of the people of Belize, correct? Those shares, if it's BTL,
Yes,
if
yeah,
it's
the
government,
51%. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a government investment. I don't know what part of government invested in there. They had some extra money, but I believe the shares must be in the name of the government of Belize. It's taxpayers' money, so it's your money, my money. I don't know about Gregory because he lived at States, and and Joe's and
You
Joe's
know.
and Joe's money.
But I have money in BTL, so I need to keep an eye
Oh,
on
okay,
them.
Oh,
all
you see what
right.
I'm saying? Yeah, man. Good night, Gregory. Welcome to the show.
Good
Good
Yeah.
night,
evening,
Gregory.
gentlemen. Good evening. Good
Yeah.
evening.
And the evening where you are, imagine it's a little earlier than well, you're 2 hours behind, aren't you?
Yeah, at 5 o'clock. It's 5:06 here right now.
Okay. Yeah. So, Spooner, what did you take away from the show? And were they in favor of or against or just
I only
analyze it?
watched I watched a bit of the student activist. She's very well qualified. She's part of the student union here in Belize, and then she's now part of the Commonwealth student, the Caribbean Student Union, and she's trying to get young Belizeans involved in their country, no? In things like this. Anwar was like talking about the part that I saw as a businessman,
Yeah, he
and then Daryl Bradley was talking like on the government side, you know. But they I didn't see at the end of the day which if they three of them approved the acquisition. I didn't see that part there.
yeah.
I think Gregory was watching it because I saw his name that he was watching it. Maybe
Yeah.
Gregory.
Yeah, but Joy is on the show. Good night, Joe.
Hi
Looking
Joe.
all suntanned and burned up. I think you're in the sun there, Joe.
Well, we're getting some sun down here over the last day or two.
Well, it's not. It's certainly not as cool as it was for a
But
few
they
days there.
expected it to begin. They think it will begin to snow again by weekend.
Wow, another one, another cool front, no? Okay,
I'm enjoying it. I love it.
Gregory, what did you get from the show?
Well, I actually thought it was a good show. It gave some good presentation. Like Jeremy said, Daryl was looking at the constitutional and legal aspects of the role of government in this and the role of how accountability should be presented. And Anwar went in a kind of a direction that I didn't really appreciate much. He spoke and he gave some good presentation as to the role of the BTL management and how they approach business decisions and things like that. Because he actually spoke, someone had posed a question to him about how did they deal with the fiber to home installation, which was $100 billion Belize deployment of fiber optics to the
Billion
home.
with a B.
Million. I meant
Oh,
million.
okay,
Million.
okay,
If I said
okay.
billion, I meant million.
Yeah, yeah,
100,
yeah.
100 million
Okay.
deployment of fiber to the home. So he talked about how that policy got implemented and how it was accountable to the board, and then it was accountable. They got outside experts to come in and kind of give them a strategic plan, and then they went to the board, got approval, and then they finally went to the shareholders and got approval before it was implemented. So that showed a rigorous process of sort of trying to reconciling decisions with the atmosphere of the responsibility of carrying out policies. What I didn't appreciate from his conversation was when he did mention that Smart Telnet was a private company and therefore there was no way of making that uh, deal public. But I think that while Smart cannot make it public, it is incumbent upon BTL to be as transparent as they can within that level of privacy and maintaining that level of responsibility to that company, that they can tell us what they were looking at in terms of the assets of that company, what they were buying, the valuation of that asset, and the profit of that company. I think because anybody that's buying that company will need to know that. I think there was a manager of BTL that spoke up a little bit that talked about the funds that Smart had paid in terms of licensing fees to the PUC over the 2016, 17, 18, and 19 uh, time period, and it shows that their income was somewhere between 11 and 15 million dollars over that time frame. So those were what I gathered from that conversation and what Daryl and the Ariel's group was talking about. And in all, all in all, it was a good presentation, I believe,
I
and
know
you asked some good questions.
Anwar is a former chairman of BTL,
Yeah, yeah.
and
He didn't play much on that though.
yeah, we haven't heard from him since. Joe, did you see last night's show? Apparently,
Well, I didn't see the full show, but I saw in the news, in the Channel 7 news, I guess a synopsis of it, no?
right,
And what I understand from it is that the two persons or the three of them that they reported on, it was first the lawyer called Darrell, no?
Yeah.
right,
And Darrell spoke of the legal structure of limited liability companies. That thing he was focusing on. That which I think was information that should be, it's good for people to have it. They do not know the difference. Many people don't know the difference between what they call a private company and a limited liability company. And under the Company Act, quickly, I want to add this, which I think they never did mention. That under the Company Act, a private company is limited by shares. You only can have 50 shares. And you cannot just sell your shares without the existing members have the first offer to buy. The public company under the law is that it can have more than 50 shares holders and it can market the shares. So if we look at private and public under the Company Act, that is the definition. Now, when you look at private and public company in the context of ownership, we tend to see the private company in the sense of owning a company or a business owned by the people out here, the private people. Everybody own their private business, but public business are private and state-owned enterprise. Therefore, we can all agree that BTL is a state-owned enterprise. It is public. And I think when it went on to the next person, it was Anwar, who was more focusing from the news I saw, and how do they make decisions? I think that's what he was focusing on. And he did mention, indeed, which is straightforward, the board itself, the directors cannot make decisions of that magnitude. That would have to be made by the shareholders. In this case, the two major shareholders, and the bigger one is government and Social Security. So the reality with BTL, it's not no board that will be making any decision. I think he pointed out something that I believe the politician, and I think in this case it's the Prime Minister, is misspeaking. The truth about it, he represents the majority because the people who owns it, the majority of the shares. And that was what I gathered from him. There was another lady that did a presentation, well, sorry, from the synopsis I got on the news, but I wasn't too clear what she was really trying to enlighten us on. But my opinion of what I heard might be pertinent to those of us who want to know more. But I still think that they are not speaking to the matter as to whether we should acquire or not. That is the issue. They enlighten people on those matters, but it's not that you want an enlightenment so much. And the substance of the matter is whether we acquire that. And I didn't hear anything in the news that I listened to. I didn't hear any of them mention, make any reference to that. Or probably they did in the show, no?
it seems somebody have a radio on in the background and they hear and it kind of like distracting. Give me a mute, Jeremy. Say that you.
It must be me. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the TV on. Sorry.
All right. Thank you. Joe, is the deal dead in the water? Because I understand now it's at least on hold.
I'm glad that this matter came up because I think last week it came up right at the end. And I really wanted to share what I had gathered from it, from the work I had put in. And I will say this in a nutshell. There are two significant questions to be answered, and these are facts. These are facts, but we must know how you go to make those decisions. The first decision in a case like this, does the asset that you are looking to acquire likely to have technological obsolescence? If the answer is yes, for how long? If the answer is no, then you go to the next step. The next step is valuation. If I know that you have something that I want because it can benefit me, I need to know indeed, in this particular case, because we're dealing with technology, whether that asset, what kind of lifespan that asset may have. Lifespan in any asset in business is important. And the next thing I'm saying, if the answer to that evidently is about the Starlink issue. It's Starlink. That is the issue, whether Starlink will pose a threat and this technology we are using will become obsolescent. And that is the questions I think we should be asking. And once you get the answer to that, the valuation becomes very important to decide now whether I want to acquire these things or not.
I hear you.
In the company having to make a decision, all these decisions are cost-benefit analysis decisions. And looking at it, if you take out the Starlink threat, the technological obsolescence, if it is not there, are we not likely to be there in the next 15, 20 years? And let's say the fiber optics, I'm just using it as an example, has a lifespan that will not, or is likely to expire before Starlink can become a threat. Then the next stage you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that I want from this company? And what I want must benefit me, and then I need to know what I am willing to pay for it. And those are the issues I think that we should be looking at.
The figure I'm hearing thrown out there is 40 million. That the Smart is worth 40 million, and that money will go directly to BTL should the acquisition go through. What's your opinion on that?
Can I just say so? I was just going to bring up something about that because everybody wants to know about Smart, what it's worth, or what kind of money it was making. And Jules did, I saw on Facebook, Jules did a little thing where I believe the license fee to operate in the telecommunication business is a percentage of your gross income. And he said that no way that they're I think, I don't know if it was 2%, but their fees were like $100,000 or $200,000 a year for the license fee. And he was saying no way would they be that company was making millions and millions and millions of dollars based on that. I don't know if anybody saw that breakdown.
Yeah, I made reference to it earlier, but I think there's an easier way to figure out where Smart lines in terms of income. We have to look at what BTL income is, and we know what percentage of BTL Smart actually represent or of the market. So based on that, we know we have a good idea of where Smart falls in terms of income. To extrapolate that. I don't have the exact figures, but I know that's an easy way, and Mr. Cowie could probably talk about some of that because...
Yes, I would really like to come in there again. You know why? I don't want to be sounding again intellectually arrogant, please. I don't understand what these people are talking about. If I want to acquire your business because you are offering it for sale, I must have access to your financials. Nobody will acquire a business. You are offering your business for sale. Anybody wants to buy it. Buy a country. The first thing you have to give them is your audited financials. So I don't understand why is it that BTL, if he wants to look at Smart for buying it, the first thing he must have is his audited financials. Secondly, it's not a case of BTL financials so much. But for us out here, since it's a state-owned enterprise, we should be able to look at it too. So my question would be, why is it that we are hearing about Jews had to do what he did, which I saw that. What he tried to do was to extrapolate a revenue, because if your license fee represents a percentage of your revenue, obviously, if your license fee is 10% of your revenue, and you have paid $10, then you know the amount is $100. But that's not what we should be looking for. I wouldn't even bother to do that. That's a waste of time. What we should be demanding, those of us now who wants to get involved, is that this is not, BTL is not a private company. It's a state-owned company, majority shares. And if you use the portion that Social Security has, that indirectly is also for the workers, which are part of the people. So BTL is not a private company, neither by the company law, nor by the commercial definition of a private company. It is a state-owned enterprise. And I must tell you this, gentlemen, I listened tonight again before I came on the show to the news, and I listened to those people talk. And I am still at a loss. Why is it that we have to be going around trying to find out what is the revenue for Smart? We shouldn't have to be doing that. Just don't buy, don't do anything until we have the information, and we need it.
But here's a point that is quite salient. It's not like Smart is putting itself up for sale. Smart is putting itself up for sale to BTL. So you are saying anybody who's going to buy a company needs to know the particulars and the assets and all of that. So, but BTL obviously is not even asking for that. They just want to acquire Smart, and it's a deal between these two telecommunication giants. Why?
Yeah, but that in the market, and again, I'm speaking from my experience of buying and advising people how to buy. If I say I want to acquire Smart, but Smart was not up for sale. If Smart is not up for sale, I'm not offering my asset for sale. I'm not offering my property for sale, this piece of land I have, a choice piece of land. I'm not offering it for sale. Though you come to me because you want it. You need it for some purpose, maybe for a business, for residence. So it means a lot to you because you come to me, I'm not selling it. Now, if I would have known that, suppose I wanted to sell, then I get my market value. Now, if my market value, and I'm throwing out on a figure, X dollars, then I am offering it for sale. But if I am not, and you want it, and you come to me, I will not sell it for X dollars because I am not selling. You have to give me an offer.
So using that analogy, are you suggesting then that Smart doesn't want to sell, and it's that BTL is the one that wants to?
No. Actually, I was just taking what you said for granted and acting on that. You are telling me that it's not that BTL wants, that it's not that Smart is offering itself for sale.
Correct.
That's what I got.
Correct.
That's what I get that you said just so you heard.
That is exactly
what you are saying is true. That Smart is not offering for sale, is BTL one. Then again, who is saying, where is that coming from?
Well, let's get it clear. Let's get it clear. Did Smart approach BTL or did BTL approach Smart?
I believe it was Smart that approached BTL.
Okay. So, yeah.
I believe it was Smart that approached
BTL. All right. We know that then. And we'll go with Mr. Gregory. Mr. Gregory said it as a fact, not a guess. All right. Repeat it again for me, Mr. Gregory.
It was Smart, from my understanding, that approached BTL for sale.
All right. So Smart offering itself for sale.
Yes.
No, if Smart is offering
let me just add one more thing. Smart has conducted a cost analysis of what they believe they should be sold for. They did that through that private accounting company that's in Brazil that you had mentioned earlier last week. They did an analysis and presented that. But the point I have is that they came up with an $80 million valuation for the company. The point is there's no pushback or no examination of that assessment that is credible to the people and investors of BTL, and the chairman of BTL seemed to just be accepting that number. We have contestants from the Social Security Board. We have contestants, I believe, from some other independent or small investors that we haven't heard much from, but I understand that there are more than just one person that was asking for information within the BTL board, but the chairman was pushing for the sale based on the valuation that was presented to them of 80 million.
All right, let me give you the information that I have. And I got the information from the person who were presenting, as I said last week to you all. It was Morris Stevens that did the valuation. The valuation was commissioned by BTL. I spoke with the representative in Belize for Morris Stevens, who is a chartered accountant like myself. Evidently, in my conversation with him, and I can say it public, because nothing wrong in I talking to him, I knew my restrictions, I knew my limitations because of the fiduciary relationship between accountants and their clients, just like it is between lawyers and their clients. So I asked him questions, only what I know he was able to answer me. So I know for a fact that a valuation was done by them. When you are doing a valuation, which they mentioned to me, you do not do a valuation and saying this thing value 80 million. No, you would never do that. You will do a valuation between an upper and a lower. That's how you do valuations. You will say, listen, this is the figure I would say we go at the top with. And this is what I would call the lower. Though your negotiations would be somewhere between that. In the negotiations that I was told, they had a valuation about around 70 something. I think it was 76, something like that, up to 89. Evidently, Smart begin at the higher level, which is expected. And the other one begin at the lower level. And out of that negotiation, they were leaning towards 80.
What is the lower level as far as you know?
The lower level,
76.
I think, was about 76.
Okay, and how much of a difference when you talk about millions? No?
When the matter went before the board of the Social Security Board, and again, what I spoke to them, I don't think is anything confidential. I did have a sit-down meeting with also a member. And what I sense, one is that I don't want to get into too much of the personality. Why did the person who is, I think, the chairman of the Board of Social Security, who sits as a director on the board of BTL, why did she resign? No, the Social Security Board has to make a decision whether they will support it or not. And what I think is happening now, from all the information I've got, if you have all the information, the negotiation was taking place. It seems to me that what they agreed, because Smart, will have very little liabilities, but they will agree that they will not take liabilities. But there's not much to liabilities. In other words, you're not taking a loan. So what you are doing, it seems, in the negotiation, you will not buy the shares. If I buy your shares, I take everything, assets and liabilities. But if I can negotiate with you and I said, listen, I want some of your assets, around tell her, it's this I don't want. And I could say, well, I don't have any much liabilities anyhow. I will keep that. I can settle that. What you do have, you will have for the workers. And what was agreed to with workers, remember, you have your severance pay. You have your workers, and now you're going to take these workers. So what you had to do, the same thing we had done when we turned KHMH into a statutory board. Whatever was it that they had acquired, what was accrued up to that point, Smart would have to keep that. So that when they take over the workers, they will only take and pay.
You mean BTL would have to keep that?
BTL, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things when they look at a first valuation and then looking at the financials, those are the things you can negotiate. Now you look at your hardware, your structures, right? For example, the towers. One of the things you do, and I know it was done and should have been done, if you have towers side by side, and you say, well, obviously there's no sense in towers existing side by side because the towers are to carry cell sites. So what they were thinking of is that look at the cost of taking down a tower and putting it where, because we don't need them side by side, take it to somewhere else. The area that is most lacking in cell sites, the towers, are in Toledo. So from what they were doing, they sense that they can take so many towers down. The cost of taking it down, taking it there, putting it up, will enhance then that area, certainly. And they were looking at other areas in the country where if they put these things, they should be suitable. So what they did was going through what is it you may want and what you may not want.
So the towers are part of what they're selling.
That's part, yeah, because that is part of the
and
hardware.
The part of the appeal,
Right.
because
The hardware is your towers for this kind of business. I understand that they don't have any real estate. No building or land. They rented everything. They were renting the building that they had. So when it comes down, what I find on the part of BTL and the government, why I think the people have a serious concern, and I agree with them, I don't believe they should be holding back so much. They should be more transparent. If you believe that what is good for the people of this country in terms of telecommunication, buy an acquisition, tell them everything.
Well, this has been Gregory's point all along. Now,
I did agree with him, and I
I
agree with
need,
everyone.
I
I
need
spoke
to.
to I spoke to people this week that was in the demonstration representing the social partners, and they themselves are saying, "Listen, it's not that we are against it, but we are not for it because we don't know."
I have a question. Okay, what is it that BTL is offering pretty good service? I mean, adequate service to the needs of the people. It seems. What is it that Smart has that BTL does not have that would make such an acquisition feasible?
Probably another 25 or 30,000 customers that could be added to BTL role. I think that the customer base that they have, and if you remember correctly, probably about a year and a half ago, the government, I believe, through the Britannia government, took away from all the government offices and government contracts that was have always been tied with BTL and cable and wireless, and historically been the domain of the National Telecommunication Company, and gave it to Smart. So those would be coming back home to Smart. What the government did was to just take away those services and gave it to his brother. Um,
Cool.
I
Which
think,
is wrong.
which
So
was very wrong.
it sounds wrong.
This was very wrong.
Sounds wrong,
Very
yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
Nepotism.
The problem I have is with the whole deal is the conflict of interest. And we know Belize is small and everybody's related to everybody, and families everywhere and friends and political relationship. We know those things exist. But what we are seeing is really what appears to be, because of the lack of transparency and because of the eagerness of the chairman of BPL, is a real push to close this deal without the transparency that it requires. He keeps falsely claiming, and I think everybody knows, and it was evident that BTL was never or could never be considered, even though its charter is private, it could never be considered a private company because of its intertying relationship with government funds through either the government direct investment or the Social Security Board. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, let me add something to it or clarify. Smart has 170,000 subscribers. That was
Okay.
given to me. BTL has 300 and something. I don't remember, about 316,000
Looks like they have
subscribers.
more subscribers than Belizeans.
No, no, no,
Yes.
no, 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 no,
Interesting.
People
no,
must have double.
Yeah,
no,
because
no, no,
add them two together with a weight of nearly 600.
no, no, no.
Good,
I
good,
didn't
good
say. No,
catch, Gregory.
I didn't say they have. No, no. I said subscribers. That's what I
I
said.
know, I know.
Yeah.
I was counting
Let me
it
show
as
you why.
people as a
Look here.
joke.
No, make me explain that to you because again, when you say that, it could throw up people out there and they will say, "Well, something wrong." Nothing wrong with that.
No, no, no. I understand.
No, yeah, but we'll clear it up. But let's clear it up because we
Clear
don't
it
Okay.
throw those things. It's
Share
not.
those
Hold
numbers
on, hold
again.
on. Yeah,
Share
the
those
question.
numbers again.
No, if a company, let's use it. A company today, most businesses are not using that hard line again. They are using mobile phone.
Correct.
Yeah.
I know a business right now that I am dealing with, and the amount of mobile phones it have, it's not using those line phones again. So what
Land
happened?
phones.
A company alone could have maybe 30 subscribers because they are taking it by each phone.
Yeah, but that
No,
doesn't explain it. That doesn't explain it, Joe, because
Mr.
you're
Chairman,
still talking about subscribers
Mr.
who are
Chairman,
people.
Mr. Chairman,
But
no.
hear me though, Joe. Don't get so you kind of jump up and I'm not coming at you in that kind of no way. I'm just saying I'm trying to clear this up. If you say a company has lots of different cell phones and a lot of different subscribers, you're still talking about individuals that holds these cell phones. So with the talk with the numbers, that seem to be more than the population of the country.
Yeah,
Right.
Joe said
Let me
300,000.
I threw that in there.
300,000.
Let
Now,
me
let me
Yeah, you said
explain to you.
I threw that in there
170.
as a little joke, as a
When the
party.
numbers
But
was given to me,
let me just clear that up, Mr. Coy, for a
when the,
moment.
nu-
For
just look at-
example, I in my house I have 7 electronic devices, right? I have a telephone, I have a computer, I have, a bunch of different things that are connected to the internet. Each of those represent a subscription. So I was just joking when I said it was more than the people.
That's why I wanted to finish. I was only
Yeah.
dealing with the mobile phones.
Yeah.
No, they also have internet subscribers.
Yes.
The only person who has internet is BTL, the fiber optics, and they sell wholesale. Everybody else that sells internet, cable, every one of them, anyone
Buys
will
it
sell
from
internet.
BTL.
They are buying from BTL. Only BTL has the fiber optics. So when BTL is selling, that BTL is selling internet. So we are looking at the telephone. We are looking at other iPads, all these things that they have. We are looking at the internet.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about it, we are not talking about a person as such. That's why when
But clear this up to me, because I'm a subscriber to BTL. I have my computer, I have my phone, I have my internet. So but I am one all of those are under one package. Isn't
That's right.
that how it works? Is every different and what you are suggesting, Greg, is that every different component is a different subscription.
They may count it as that because they
Yeah.
issue an IP address for each of those devices.
Right.
So they may say that you
But-
have 5 subscriptions because they have issued to you 5 IP addresses. One for your tablet, one for your computer, one for your TV, one for your telephone, and whatever else you might have that
But let's do something,
the
Mr.
legacy on
Greg.
that
Let's
system.
do something different. Let's
Okay,
forget about.
yeah, I'm confused here.
Let's forget about those figures. Let's look on population. What's the size of our population who is likely to get?
I think we have a total population of like 415,000.
Yeah, but let's take out the one.
Let's see who.
But remember, the baby is the 1 year old. Is
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
the population.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Remove
That's what I'm saying, my lord. Let's see,
150,000.
when we are extrapolating, you can extrapolate from 400,000.
Right.
You have to look at the people who are at the age that is likely to go own one of these things. Now, leave alone the 370 and the 172. I knew why they gave it. I did explicitly why you arrive at it and how. So we knew that. No, let's leave that out. How much you think in the ratio then between Smart and BTL? BTL, now remember, sell internet. He's the only supplier of internet, wholesale. And all the others, all the 20 others over there out there, there's several of them out there buying internet. Cable does, all of the things that those cable companies are selling, they also sell internet with it. The same companies where they wanted to sell the cable to, which his brother has, they buy internet from BTL. They have to.
Yeah.
So when you look at the amount of people buying internet alone, so those are the things which I wouldn't hang up too long on. The point is that if you get their customers, they're calling customers, left alone. Evidently, as you rightly say, some of those customers were government customers that went over from BTL to Smart. And when they were questioned, why is it that they do that? Knowing, how can a government, you have your business, Greg, you have your business, and you are in a certain product. And now you want to buy that same product, you need that same product, and you will buy it from somebody else when you have it. So that one didn't hold up. You know what they said? They said that was left to the CEO to decide what to do.
Yeah.
And the CEO believed that Smart was giving better service.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into that. To me, I don't want to get hung up on that. What I want to come down to is the substance of what we should do to make a decision as to whether to acquire or not. So the subscribers evidently will be one. And I was going through the hardware because I went through all the hardware with them.
Joe, go ahead before you lose that.
Joe just said that BTL is the sole wholesaler for internet in Belize. There's nobody else selling internet in Belize. So Smart really works on BTL internet. It buys the internet and then sells it maybe at a cheaper price.
Well, we can't sell it at cheaper. We wouldn't be in business for a day.
We can't sell it cheaper.
Same
buy a
rate,
bat-
or I don't know. Maybe they have other ways of making more
No,
money
they get
on
a
the
they get a
package.
wholesale price. They get a wholesale
it's a
price.
Yeah,
Spooner
so
you
Smart
it's here.
Smart does
But
provide
does the
internet
regulations in
service.
Belize, does the regulations in Belize say Jeremy Spooner and G. Michael Reed partnership, and we want to bring in another internet company in Belize? Are we allowed to do that?
Yes, as long as you go and get approval from the PUC, you could set up your company.
A
The
PUC that's
Telecommunication
appointed
Act
by
allows that.
BTL.
You
Okay.
still have to buy it from BTL, right?
Yes,
Good.
you'd have to get some of the
They
services,
control
but you
the
could
fiber
offer your
optic.
package. You could offer your package and get your cable and your like your HBO and all those things. You could put those together and sell those package separate. It's the delivery system that you're getting from BTL, the fiber into the home that gives you the pathway to offer your services. The services are separate from the pipeline that gives you the services. Do you follow the difference?
Well, I was just
Um,
wondering. I can't bring in a separate internet company into Belize, bringing in my own technology and so on.
If you
You
can,
could
if
Starlink, they're talking about Starlink. I mean, but
you
can
could
do
if
I
you
have
get
to buy?
PUC.
I have to buy from BTL and then
You could
resell it.
if you get PUC
if
approval for it.
no,
Or with
no, it's not
PUC
PUC
approval?
approval. You will no, no, no need PUC approval. You
Sorry,
want
what did you
to
say, Joe?
you want to bring somebody into Belize so that they can bring their own internet, then bring the fiber
Yeah.
optics.
this is
Won't
what I
bring it
say.
here.
You have to bring a cable.
Yeah.
At this point, we still
But,
rely on
yes,
that.
but that's one of the services. But you could get services without cable, without having that pipeline into your home. You
Internet
could
services.
you could get
Yeah.
internet service. That's Starlink. That's what Starlink's offers.
All right, yeah, but yeah,
But the truth is their costs will be more expensive in a congested area where the service could be gotten cheaper. They work well in outlying areas and rural areas where the service would be expensive to deploy for smart or BTL at this time.
why aren't we basically covering the entire country at this point?
Well,
And that was
remember we
another
talked about
question.
PG having limited internet access because they don't have the towers. So in
Okay,
areas like that, it would be cheaper to bring in a service as it's now constructed.
Starlink as
Like
opposed to
Starlink.
putting up towers.
Well, Starlink would put up some towers because they would bring it from the satellite, and then they'll have to distribute it locally because the way the cluster of the internet how it dispersed it doesn't work well, I understand, in congested areas. It needs a direct line of sight, and then once you gather it, then you can share it up to some residents or businesses.
You're talking about Starlink
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
What I was told, which I trotted out last week with, I mentioned it, and I told you I got it from a telecommunication engineer. Of course, I was questioned on that. What he was told to me is that Starlink will make money where there is sparse population. The population got to be sparse. Though Belize itself is a sparse population. We are very sparse.
Hmm.
But the sparseness of Belize is not big enough.
Yeah.
When they talk about sparseness, Guatemala will be considered still small compared to Belize. I think about 17 million, and we got about 400,000. But
Yeah,
let me come back to something
that
where I
wouldn't
don't
be
like
compared to
touch on.
Belize. That would be compared to big nations like
Yeah. Let
America
me
and
come back
something.
to something. Once we can get internet, cable will go under. Those cables today, many people are not using them again, They have what you call the fire stick.
Magic Jack.
What they need is internet. Once they get, in fact, right now with phone, once I have internet, I can call in the States and it don't cost me to WhatsApp.
But you still need a cable to get your internet.
Yes, so you could get your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
No, I'm coming. We are talking about the cable or the internet.
We're talking about the
Internet comes through the cable.
internet service. Cable is when we talk about cable, we're talking about application. right? We're talking about the services you get, the programs you can see off of the internet,
Yeah, but
right?
I don't need a cable for
That's
my
what I'm saying.
TV.
I
If I
agree.
have
I
a
agree with you.
TV and I got smart stick, I don't need cable.
Yeah,
Yes, you
All I
well
need is
no well no
internet.
no I'm not okay when I
All I
say
need is
cable I
internet.
don't mean like a box that you know and then a cable to the box
yeah.
and I watch it on TV how it used to
We're
be.
talking
I
about
have
the
a cable
application
coming off the
programs.
lamppost that BTL that next gen installed on my lamppost. It runs to my house and it goes to a router and then my smart TV picks up the signal and then
Yeah.
I can apply for apps from America and pay it with my credit card.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you to talk like you use the name of next gen because
Yeah,
next
that
gen is
I buy my
right.
internet
But
at my house
I
from
am
next
saying to
gen.
you, when you're dealing with next gen, you will need the cable. But what people are doing now, they are not using next gen. They don't. All
Okay,
they
so
need
how do
is
you get your internet in your house?
I don't get it. I don't know. The reason why I get internet because I happened at the time to buy my internet, which every time I was to go over to BTL, I didn't. I buy my internet and I buy my cable from NextGen.
So
But
you have a cable that comes to your house that goes to a router, right?
right, because of
Okay.
cable. But if I am saying today, I could take out all of that and I tell them I don't want NextGen anymore. All I go and buy a Fire Stick. I pay about what 70 or 80 dollars, something like that.
Mhm.
And then all I need then is the internet.
Yes.
But how you get the internet?
Through the Fire Stick.
I will get it.
The
No,
Fire
no.
But the
Stick has
fire
the
stick needs
application.
No. If I
yeah, but
have
you
no, all I need is the internet, and I don't have to buy cable again. That's what
no,
many people
I
are
know
doing.
all of that. I know all of that.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
that's right.
How are you going to get the internet? Where does your you can't internet has to come to your house, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The fiber
So
needs to
yeah,
get
so
to the
yeah,
house.
and
Yeah.
it
The
comes
fiber
by a
needs,
cable. It comes by a cable presently, a fiber
well,
optic
it comes
cable.
it comes by a fiber optic cable.
That's right.
See, sometimes we're mixing up cable as
Wait.
the programs that we see and
Yeah, no,
view.
forget that. Forget that's
Yeah,
gone. That's
yeah,
done.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
can't say cable anymore. We have to just say
It's fiber optics.
Fiber
fiber optic.
optics. Okay, so
Yes,
you need a fiber optics lead to your house that you
Yes.
attach to a router, and then it spreads the internet
Yes.
around your
Because
house.
yes,
yes,
because BTL over the last year was upgrading. All of them,
Yeah,
even to cable, they were upgrading to fiber optics.
yeah. But Starlink, if that came in, you wouldn't need any of that, right? Your TV would
but
automatically
it's
pick
very
up the
expensive.
Starlink.
It's very expensive. It's not as cheap, and that's why
Yeah.
in
Okay.
isolated areas where you don't have service and you're going to a last resort. Like once I had my office in Palm Springs, and they didn't have internet service in my block of my building. That one little street, it was in a little development that was forgotten. They didn't have it there. I had to put a dish on my office on the rooftop to receive internet access wirelessly, similar to what Starlink is doing.
Can I ask a question? This, and
Yes.
I'll show you where we are lacking in terms of. I have my doubt about what BTL is doing, and I have the reason to believe why people are suspicious of what is happening. You mentioned just now about we spend some time trying to understand the technology. I find it strange that nobody at that board meeting at that press conference, when Mr. Mark Lizaraga was talking, nobody was asking about technological obsolescence.
Yeah.
What they asked about was valuation.
Yeah.
And how he answered that. He said we have an external valuator. That's all.
Yeah.
Nobody questioned any further.
Yeah.
Who is the external valuator? Can we see the valuation?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Well,
should have a right to see it.
yeah, that's the problem, that a lot of the times our reporters are limited in terms of this type of aspect of how to delve into these specific questions, because it's very technical, and they kind of stick with what they know, because there's a lot of technical issues in terms of the technology and the obsolescence of the technology and how to transfer the technology, and how something like Starlink could work, and in areas where it definitely will not work, and even the cost structure of that type of program. So a lot of time our reporters, they're very limited and they don't know how to ask, or they may have one question but they don't have, after they get an answer, a proper follow-up to kind of delve in and get the answers. And it seems that the people on the board at BTL, or particularly the person that was answering most of the question, was Mr. Lizaraga, the CEO. The CFO was right there, and he only made a few comments when they made reference to him in a what was a 1 hour or 1.5 hour discussion. So it was dominated with a certain aspect of trying to present a sale idea without giving us the true information on either the technology or the valuation of what the company was.
That's right.
At
And
this
then
point,
what I could add this to it. Let's go to when we were acquiring, when Barrow, let's call him Barrow, the Prime Minister, looking to acquire, take back BTL from Ashcroft. There were two valuations done and they were made public. One was done by the Ashcroft Group and one was done by the Belizean, well, the government. And we were able to look at them. So when we found out what was the final price they agreed on, but it never come out immediately, but now it's all out, everybody knows it. It was then we could have been able to say, I not to agree with that price. But what happened? The one that was done by Ashcroft was showing a higher price, evidently. The one that was done by the other group, too qualified, too internationally renowned. And I would not quite, we went through their evaluations and they did everything according to international standards for valuation. They followed everything. But what happened? They said the one that got the lower figure said that they were told by the Prime Minister to leave out the accommodation agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are leaving out an intangible asset, which has such high value, remember the accommodation agreement was this.
Yes.
You're guaranteed a dividend. You're
Yes.
guaranteed that you will make profit. But if you don't make the profit at the level where you may expect, we can get the difference. So what happened? Millions were acquiring, and what Ashcroft was doing, Ashcroft was using it to offset the taxes and still have a money going to her. So when they did the valuation and they were told to remove, don't value it with the accommodation agreement, Barrow had it in mind that he want to cancel out the accommodation agreement. Remember, that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, when he went to the house, the day when he going to go for take over BTL, Ashcroft contacted him, and I got this from somebody who was with him. He tell him he is prepared to renounce the accommodation agreement now, but leave the company alone. But he still gone through and he decided, no, he ain't going to pass the law for acquire, and he did. But in the end,
that in 90,000 that balloon to about what, 500 or 600 million? 90 million?
Not 90. The 90 is the one from Healthcare Partners.
Okay, but that accommodation agreement also costs us a hell of a lot of money, right? As far as interest and whatnot. Because he didn't pay it at the time. And he did say he would not pay.
That's the accommodation agreement. What he didn't pay when he acquired the company, he did not settle yet. He did the acquisition, remember? And after he did the acquisition, because government did the acquisition, and then when he done, they begin to walk away and pay. And then they went to Miami and they agreed. But by the time they agreed to the figure he's to be paid, it was already some years past. So the figure that they agreed on for the shares, the interest on it was about little more than the shares itself. The shares figure was 250 million. That's what it was. But the interest alone was a little more than that. I think Jules had it, somebody put it out the other day. They finally had it out.
So Joe, are you leaning now towards acquisition?
It's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it, because I thought that you may have misunderstood me the last time, not this time, the one before. I will support a company, if I was an advisor, acquiring another company where it will provide economies of scale, which definitely will bring down the cost, and therefore you can compete with what you're selling for. Now, what remains to me that I would be able, I would be able to make a decision and say, why buy? I could say the benefit in acquiring. But one, I need to clear the technological obsolescence. I'd like to see that cleared before I decide to support it. Two, I want to know how we're going to do the evaluation. Those are my two concerns. If those are acceptable, there's no technological obsolescence. Fine, that's good. If there is, that will change my evaluation. If you want to tell me, boy, in the next 15 years, we'll guarantee you that you become a threat. What you have will become obsolescent. All I want to know that this, if I'm buying from you, it means that I only got the benefit for 15 years. So that one determine my evaluation. And that is important. So those were the two things that I thought was important for us to know. The issue of the economists, those are facts. The issue of benefiting, if you depend on the cost of moving the towers.
Wait a minute. What are facts? The amount that they would, the 40 million that BTL would get by acquiring Smart, is that the economy that you're talking about? The figures,
we don't know. We don't know that to be a fact because
we don't know that.
What,
no, I don't know about.
We don't know what the income of.
So what you said the fact that the economy, the aspect of the economy, the economical aspect, that one fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah, that what's
That's
the
a
fact?
that, again, let me see if I could. It's quite. I could explain it simple, but it can become complicated. If you have a tank that has a capacity of 1,000 gallons, now what you are using that tank for is that what it contains you're going to sell. The tank has a cost. The tank might worth, let's say, 100,000. What you have to do is depreciate the tank, what they call the utils. They use up the utils every year. The tank got maybe 40 years. Now, if that tank, in many cases, only they use up to 50% capacity, my cost will be higher than when they use 70. As the capacity begin to go up, at what they use, the fixed cost goes down. And that is what will happen in any of these things where they acquire something, we're already in the business of. It will carry down your fixed costs. It must, that's a fact. They are saying, according to them, according to the chairman, it will increase the dividends by 207. We don't want to hear how much the dividends will increase by. Which, I mean, tell the consumers that by we could bring down the rate to, that would be more encouraging. So,
yeah, that's true.
All right. The big question is, it seems on who will know. Is there any way that this will move ahead anytime soon? Is there something that are we going to get that evaluation? You believe? Are we going to get the particulars that's holding things up now? That's causing this
I will be quite outright and candid with you and put aside party politics. This is about people's money, our money. Until when you can satisfy me of these things that I need to know, and professionally, I don't talk about yellow man, where yellow man want and where that one want. I don't need to worry about them. They're not problems. I am talking about where many people out here, professional people, are asking for, and they need to come clean with them and they need to be transparent. If that cannot be done, then I would say don't support it. You can't just say me, boy, because so and so said it in good. No, but that's all right.
But I noticed there was some pushback in the cabinet. At least 4 ministers in the government of Briseno kind of pushed back and said we needed more disclosure, we needed to have some transparency, and we needed to have ways of independent assessment. And I believe that what they realize is that Johnny will get his money and walk away. He may not be around for another election term. And if these people want to be viable for future election in Belize, because this is going to be something it's been talked about, and this is going to be something that remains in the consciousness of the people for a long time, especially if Social Security was to suffer some harm from this deal.
That a deal, Gregory. Are they looking at this? Are they objecting sincerely based upon their evaluation of what is happening, or are they reading the political landscape and figure this might hurt us at the course?
Both of that can be happening. You have to always remember these people are politicians, but there needs to be the truth of, is it a real deal that will benefit the stockholders. That's where the test is. And so until you could assess the valuation of it, it becomes that issue. There, like Mr. Coy said, there's no doubt having a monopoly, too, but something have to happen too. They would have to change the laws of the country. They'd have to vote so that you can create a monopoly when the current law for the Communication Act restricts or prevents a monopoly. They would have to change that law. And then they would have to get the PUC to accept it on whatever measure they can, to agree to it. And I don't think that's going to be too difficult the way those organizations are structured. But at least they need all those partners or complicit, all those people to be complicit. The Social Security Board, which is a stockholder, the PUC, and those to make this deal saleable to the people.
But question, Mr. Harrison, which law is saying that you cannot have a monopoly in Belize?
Is it that apparently Anwar brought it up? Was it Anwar or
There's no
Daryl
law.
Bradley that brought it up?
Our current
Telecommunication
Communication Act sort of infer that you cannot have a monopoly, that it needs to be a competitive sort of environment.
And affect the competition.
That is not true. Let me tell you why.
And that would be crazy. Go ahead, Joe.
If it is inconsistent with the Constitution. You cannot tell no law in a country, especially smaller countries like Belize, not even America, you can't say in Canada competition. No. Hold on, I can finish. In Belize, the smaller the country, many of these utilities are natural monopolies.
That's the term that's been thrown
I'm not saying no. I'm saying the way. Remember, no. I agree with you. I agree, but I'm saying the way Dean Barrow had wrote the Telecommunication Act law that he had enforced when he made the buyback. There is some wording in there that is very tricky, and we are not sure. I mean, it'll take a constitutional lawyer to determine it. But there's some wording in there that kind of put it that you cannot have a monopoly in the telecommunication industry.
Yeah, I heard that in that forum.
We have monopoly in our lighting, in our BTL, BEL, and we have monopoly in our WASA. Right. Those are monopoly, but the way
natural monopolies.
Mr. Morrison, you can find somebody who could come on this show and tell me that. We don't need no lawyer to come on this show.
No, you could look at I don't know if anybody could pull up the telecommunication law, but I haven't seen it. But I've had people read it.
I read the telecommunication, and I read this section. And if it is there, it is inconsistent because we have monopolies.
No, it didn't say you can't have monopoly. It says you cannot have that particular industry as a monopoly as it's currently recorded in our laws.
I heard one of the people on the forum last night that Arafat sponsored. I don't know if it was Anwar or if it was Daryl that mentioned it. But I went into the Constitution, I pulled it up, and I couldn't find the wording. I didn't have enough time when the show came on to find the wording. Somebody who would know where to look at, then I would be able to.
It's not in the Constitution.
It's not in the Constitution,
It's not in the Constitution.
No, it's in the Telecommunication Act.
Yes.
It's in the Telecommunication Act.
And I pulled that up, yeah. I have it up there.
I think it's section 42.
But you're saying, Joe, it would not be consistent with the Constitution, anything that is not consistent with the Constitution.
No, I'm saying it makes no sense.
Okay.
You can't tell me that if you have a natural monopoly in a country, you can't have a monopoly. That's nonsense.
I saw that section, part 6, number 42.
And that's why we need to change that law to remove the ambiguity in that
you
law.
You have the law in front of you there, Spooner?
Yeah, I have it. It says uncompetitive practices due to market dominance. That's what Joe referred me to. I had seen that, and I looked at, and I can go down to it and read it if you want me to, but
please read it a little.
Okay, let me go down. You guys talk for a second. Let me just go down to it.
All right, let me tell you what I would expect the law to do. Something like what the antitrust law in America does. It is not telling you that you cannot have a monopoly. What it is saying that where the circumstances would not allow a duopoly or a polypoly, evidently you will have to have a monopoly. Otherwise, you want to tell me I make one law where we are just got waste for the sake of a monopoly. If you listen to the guy that was here from him, I listened to him on in the news. He comes out of the Caribbean and he was at some session there where talking about competition. Man, I could go back to Adam Smith, man, with the Wealth of Nations. Anybody read that? That when we started with the competitive market.
Yeah.
The idea of it is that the principle is that competition breeds efficiency. So what Adam Smith did was to create the term that the king, the consumer is the king in the market. All of those things at the time made good theoretical sense. And they were working for a while. And as the world began to develop, as it reaches today, what we have now is the elitist society, where indeed a few people now are in fact dictating monopolies without legally seen to be monopolies. So the antitrust laws in the United States do have a law that they will. The other day when they were trying to put together two of these same companies for them, telecommunication, and they had to go before the antitrust board to see whether they should allow it or not. So it's not to say that in Belize, imagine in Belize, we can't go like that. It would make sense.
Let me ask a question before we move on, and if you guys have anything else you add to this, Joe, you said that the chairman of the Social Security Board resigned, but again, this is one part where we have not seen the news follow up on that at all, and maybe even ask why. Do you have any? Can you speculate as to what happened?
I wouldn't speculate because I said I'm speaking. We have a right to talk with anybody we want on the board. That's how we pay. For we business pay Social Security. Employers pay Social Security and employees, and we have a right. You can't withhold anything from me. I am saying then that I cannot understand why your chairman of a board of Social Security, who has a seat and should have a seat on the board of BTL, would have resigned. If the board of Social Security advised that you resign, who you want to put there? You think, say, I want to have so much interest shareholding in our company, and the person where we have to have two shareholders, let's say we have to have two directors, sorry, and you want to just resign. I did question it now, I know the but I just show the logic of it. If we have this right to sit on this board because of the interest we hold in the company, no, if I appoint you as a director to represent, so then I need to know, why did you resign?
I think
suppose you were a director by virtue of somebody like you because you're a PUP, and PUP they and they just appoint you. That difference, you could resign if you're not satisfied with what they do. But if I don't want shareholder and I own so much shares and I appoint you get appointed to the board to represent me, I'd ask, is it so? Why did the person resign?
Well, I think the director of BPL from Social Security did give a reason. She hadn't said much in terms of it, but she did say there was she saw it as a conflict of interest the way they were proceeding to the acquisition.
So
yes, Mr. Morrison, the question I'm asking, unless I misunderstand this whole thing, was she sitting there just in her personal position?
No, she was sitting in the capacity as a representative of Social Security Board.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you, who have so much shares, 30% shares in a company, and you have a right for two directors to sit, and you want to tell me one director why put there from one resign?
Well, I think
you have to resign from. You have to resign.
But you have to look at this politically now. She may have felt that there was some political pressures and that they were going to go ahead with this merger or this buyout, regardless. Because you have to remember when she resigned, it was a day that that BTL board was set to vote, and her action prevented the voting and the decisions to move forward. So it
You
is
also have
based.
to remember that she went to another job too. She's now employed at RF&G Insurance.
Well, yes, because now she have destroyed her position because this is all government, right? What favorness do you expect will come out of this when when Social Security is actually managed and influenced and appointed? The board of that group is appointed by the government of Belize and the prime minister, who is trying to get this action through hook or crook.
But she serves at the pleasure of the prime minister, no?
That's
He,
correct.
he
That's
appoints her,
correct.
so.
Yes,
Knowing Chandra, I believe she saw something in there that she wasn't comfortable with. So
that's exactly
Yeah.
the position.
Well, then to me, if I'm sitting on that board representing a shareholder, a major shareholder, and I see something in there that doesn't look good, don't you think you owe it to us to tell us?
I guess so. But
She
But
said
is
some.
it
She
is
said
it to guess or is
different
it to be an obligation?
In her position, would she be in strong enough
Exactly.
position to fight, to stand up and say, "Well, wait a minute, this."
Yeah.
And if I'm bringing it to the public, being
Yeah.
the public already being skeptical, I think
Yeah.
she'd have gotten support.
yes,
Ye-
I think so. But she
I
also
think
have to
so,
figure in
but people have to
consequences
live,
of
right?
victimization, also
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
against the government.
People have to live in this small society.
No,
So
but
That's
my
right.
point, make a finalize my point if you know to get me. I sit in the cabinet. I understand the collective responsibility of the cabinet. I cannot go to the house and speak against it. So what I need to do, I resign from the cabinet, then I can go in the house and speak against it. No. If I feel that I'm uncomfortable in holding a position to which I was appointed to through the Social Security to the BTL board, I would then resign from everything. If
but
you
that's
feel
what she
that,
did. That's what she
all right,
did.
well, if you did, I would have said, well, if you did, and so seeing that you're going to resign and can't victimize you, you're going. Just tell us why. You said he told us why. Did he say why?
Well, she kind of said there was some conflict of interest that she
No, but
couldn't
that don't,
support.
yeah, but conflict and interest is not a
I
good
know
thing.
it was vague
Everybody
and
will
it
be
I,
wasn't.
conflicting on
Yeah,
kind of said it's not actually saying. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
kind
I will.
I,
You asked Joe if he support the acquisition. I'd like to bring out some of my socialists. I'm not a fascist or whatever. I do have some
don't
socialist
lie,
value.
don't lie.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I would support a monopoly as long as it can guarantee. He mentioned 200 plus dividends, but as it's owned by the government of Belize and Social Security, and that represents all of us, I'm in for it as long as that is guaranteed that those shares are safe and it won't be sold to another entity.
But this is it. This is what I would like to know, that somewhere down the line, this doesn't happen again, and we're faced with the same situation where now somebody comes along with a little bit of money and want, just like you were suggesting, we're not bringing your own internet or your own company, and there you go, you branch off again, and we got the same problem.
But
How,
that's what I'm saying. There's nothing that prevents. There's nothing that prevents under our current law competition that tomorrow as a group of people go and start up a new telecommunication company. All they need to do is get the approval and pay their licensing at the PUC, and you could start a telecommunication company tomorrow on your own.
Can
can
I ask a,
somebody go ahead,
can I
Joe?
ask a
Can
question,
somebody do
Monica?
one more? Can somebody do that with BEL or WASA then?
No, no, because the way there because the infrastructure that's there. See, you could only get power by lines, right? So and BTL own all the
They're
lines.
going to get internet by lines. We
No, you could
discussed
get
that.
internet by you could get in. That's what we were talking about. You could get internet by other means. You could get it wirelessly through the satellite. You see?
Let me show you where you can get competition in these utilities. We went through that years ago. We went through it with the Inter-American Development Bank. Let's disaggregate, let's say electricity. You generate it, you transmit it, and you distribute it. Water, you generate it, You transmit it and you distribute it. Now let's come back now. The issue of electricity. You can create competition in the production of energy. You can,
Yes.
which we
Yes.
do have.
Yes.
But when you create the competition, it's not that I can produce
Sell it.
energy and I could sell it to another buyer.
Mhm.
There's only one buyer in the market, one buyer there will be, which is BL. And
Well,
therefore, your competition, listen to it, listen to this good. The competition will all be limited
mhm.
to say that before you invest the money, you have to go to BL and tell him you're interested in producing energy. I want to sell you this energy.
Mhm.
BTL negotiate with you. And if BTL believes that you can sell me the energy at a price that would make it profitable for me, he signs a contract with you. And when he
To
signs
supply.
that contract is binding, then you go and invest. Nobody going out there go build no kind of energy producing plant when they can't sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
that's your
well,
competition. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. No, the competition is limited, and you're right.
It
And
is.
we could look at that similarly to how Mexico sells us electricity. But today, there could be some competition and real competition because you have solar generating capability. Companies could come and set up a power generating plant with batteries, with PV system, and sell that electricity. Except you have to get the permission from the PUC to do that because
I think
right
more
now,
than PUC
No,
will
no,
have
hold
to get
on.
permission from them.
Hold on, Mr. Greg. A person
uh,
can come in, set up a solar plant, and
uh,
who you sell it to?
well, you could sell it to a let's say there's a large manufacturing company that has a big site that you could sell it to them.
You name me the manufacturing company where these could have where
Well,
one
I'm
solar
just telling
producer
you
could sell.
potentially.
Can?
I'm talking theoretically. I'm talking theoretically.
Well,
Yeah,
then that's all right. But that's
No, no, no.
limited theory.
in a case like
That's how
that,
I'm
better
going.
than just put up their own solar panels and create their own, develop their own electricity, you know.
Well,
So,
a lot of time you don't have the expertise
but I
in
see what you're saying. I see the example that you're trying to show.
yeah,
Listen. Um, I don't. Let's see how far this goes. Apparently, right now it's not going anywhere, and it doesn't look like the and to their credit, it seems the government is willing to listen to the people when they speak this loudly, and it seems like the people have spoken loudly.
I think the
Um,
government has been beaten down, and therefore they have no choice but to recognize the voices of the people as it's now being echoed in every chamber.
they have a
Well, we're
choice,
getting
but
we're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
double up tomorrow. BTL's giving us double up tomorrow, which they
One
haven't done in a long time because I like to use the double up. I don't know
one
if you know
final
what no
You're
what
one
being
Christmas we
final
never
thing,
you're
got
Mr.
you're,
done.
Chairman.
you're getting
One final
suckered
thing,
then.
Mr. Greg. I want to support you on a point which I want to make sure. What they were doing as a group, and I know about them, they were going to bring the solar, and you are right in the production of it. And what they're going to do, they're going to bring the solar. You can find certain people, like if you're interested, they say, by the way, I'll provide solar to you.
Mhm.
I'll provide solar here. Then you go to BTL, and you tell BTL you want to sell in the excess.
You mean BEL?
I'm not sorry, BL.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can do that. In fact, you can put solar right now in your own home, and you can set it up that you have solar and you have BL electricity.
Do you
That
know
when
in you
the
know
solar
if
is low,
you
and
know
then
if
you
you're
can
not
set
doing
it. Now you can set up the meter. The meter will set up
yes,
where they agree with you
yes,
that like you're the export, then you're the
yes,
export and the import, and
yes.
that if you generate excess, they will take it. And where
But
you
you
do
still
you
only
want
have one client. Only one
that's
client
right.
you have. The only
That's
BTL
right.
buy for him.
That's exactly. You still remain
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
unless you keep it.
I'm
But
talking
you
a
keep it
build.
just for yourself, you know. If I have one large investment, which I know you have the one right now out at to the cruise ship, and then one out there, they can't get electricity from BL. So they have to set up solar. If you look up on their buildings, they got lone solar panel.
Mhm.
Much of the islands where they have big tourist investment, they set up solar panels because BL not going there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, as far as the prime minister is concerned, I see Channel 7 released that there was a poll done. Again, too, I'm looking at that, and you could pick your crew your group that you're gonna poll and get the very result that you look for. They're saying that 2/3 of the people that they polled are not happy with the performance of the prime minister. But interesting thing I found is that they said that Trump has a 61% approval rate, and which is more than what the prime minister has with all Trump's unpopularity. Now, I don't know where they got those numbers from, because the last I heard, he was way down in the 20s as far as approval rating. So, did you guys hear anything about that?
Not that 61. I don't hear anybody. None of the, when I say nobody, I mean none of the pollings that I
yeah,
read from me.
you know, polls could say whatever you want them
Exactly.
to do.
That's the point I was making. Yeah.
That's not true.
No, you could poll. No, polls,
you could poll your
polls could be
friends.
real, but you could make polls biased.
Yeah, but that's not polling.
Polls can
You
be
cannot,
scientific.
when you make polling bias, it's not polling.
No, because you
can't.
no,
I poll the population to get their opinion, and I make
the
it biased. That's
question-
not polling. What I am doing, I am setting up a system to get what I want. That's not polling. Polling means you get a representation of a population opinion.
You might not.
I heard that thing said before, and you know who knocked it down? I think it was the Guardian or the Watch. He said, "Where are we coming from with this nonsense? That you could set up a poll to get what you want." He said, "Then that's not polling. The polling scientifically."
Yeah, but you're going technical again, Joe. You go with the
You have to.
the way of
Mr. Chairman, if I don't get technical, we will let the listeners believe that these things are true. When you are beginning to set a poll and you can do it to get the results you want, that is not polling.
So what would you call it then?
Dishonesty.
Okay. But it is dishonest, but it is dishonest polling.
Science of polling, gentlemen. If I am telling you,
but Joe, that's understood. That doesn't require that kind of explanation. And we understand that. All right, you say you can't call it polling because it's not a perfect polling. It's not a polling, but the way pollings ought to be done.
What do you mean by perfect, though?
Well,
Perfect
that you
polling.
don't.
No such thing as a perfect polling.
Don't fair then. It's not a fair polling. Let me say fair. But you could go into a neighborhood that you know, all right, this neighborhood is all PUPs. And you can go in there and you ask everybody in there, well, how do you feel about the prime minister? Most likely you'll get an approval rating.
But
that's not polling, Mr. Chairman.
I know, Joe. We understand that. That doesn't require that kind of debate there.
It sounds like the Northern Caucus coming out and saying they support it, and that the Smart was making $40 million in revenue. When we know,
and is that polling? Is that polling?
No, but it certainly was presented as a viable, tangible sort of something we should be considering.
Well, let me put you in the political context of polling. We're going to poll the Northern Caucus of the People's United Party because we need to get where they stand on this. So you go and you call the caucus of the Northern Caucus. Evidently, they have from 1 and 2 people, we must support this and that. Bam, then finish. Everybody agree. That is not scientific polling. That is just going to your party to get endorsement, which you will get. Yeah. And that kind of endorsement would not satisfy me why we should buy. So that's a waste of time.
Exactly.
All right. So we know. I again, I don't think that polling was scientific indeed, and I don't think we should place much stock in it. Now I don't know what the approval rating of the prime minister would be at this point. I think with the UDP might be grasping at straws, but with the condition that they're in as a political party, I don't know what benefit it would serve anyway to come out and say, well, the PUP aren't doing good, and then what are we going to do then? Are we going to just
let me tell you what I signed in news.
Within the PUP, you could always change your prime minister. He's only locked in because a majority of PUP voted him, and but if they ever declare that they don't have confidence in him, and they present another person and take them to the governor general, that person becomes our new prime minister. We never had that type of uproar in our society before, but it is quite possible.
Is it possible, Joe?
If you go to a convention tomorrow under the People's United Party constitution, because they want to elect a new leader, the minute you do that, you are beginning to say, listen, we don't have the confidence in this present leader. No, if that party system has the convention and another person emerges as the party leader, the governor general will somewhat feel obligated to have to appoint a new prime minister other than that one, because the constitution is saying who in his opinion she believes that can command the majority, and what that is taking to be ever since the party leader. So when a party loses an election, where even the party, it's happened before, where two people may have won, none of them are the party leader. One of them becomes the party leader, the parliamentary party leader, and one remains the party leader of the party. And that had happened before. And if they get up in the house, the next thing could happen. If they decide that in the parliament, they will call a vote of no confidence. And if the majority vote against the prime minister, that might trigger an election.
So with that, you can't just
election, or would it just trigger a replacement of the prime minister?
I would say that it could probably be more a replacement constitutionally.
Yes.
But you will begin to ask yourself, well,
Yes.
suppose the vote is close, where the party leader, the present prime minister, loses by one vote.
Yes.
That party is divided.
Yes.
Better than go back to the polls.
Yes.
They won't be able to live with each other.
Yeah, interesting. All right, Cuba. They understand that the students that are studying there might have to return to Belize. Whether the situation with Cuba, don't you think they've been a little rough on Cuba? I mean, it's been, what, 50 odd years that they have them under sanctions? What that is situation? Is it another regime change that we have to have before they say allow these people to live?
I want to say that right now the U.S. policies, particularly the ones under Marco Rubio, who is of Cuban descent, has been very, very vicious on the Cuban government and affecting the Cuban people. And when they did the change of government and took over the oil in Venezuela, it has really made life rough for the Cuban people and government. And
they can't get Venezuelan oil again. It seems like
it's undermining their entire economic structure, their society.
Collective punishment, though, don't you think? I mean, how can you just be so heartless, man?
Well, they want to bring down the regime in the authoritarian, totalitarian regime in Cuba. That's what
you mean, like the one that they have in America?
Huh?
Like the one they have in the U.S.
They don't have that one. Give me a break, G, Mike. Cuba
does
not have a constitution like America.
You are seeing what Trump is doing, and you will argue against
He's
that?
not a fascist, man. Come on, give it a break.
Are you serious? Because
you've been drinking that Kool-Aid too much.
Man, look, I don't know who's got the cup in their hand, boy, but I think that you.
When he becomes a fascist, I will let you know. When he becomes a fascist, a Nazi, I will let you know.
It's running down the side of your mouth, Jeremy. It's obvious that if anybody's drinking the Kool-Aid, that you.
No. America, Democrats or Republicans have always had an itch against Cuba from the day one, from way back when with the missile crisis.
But then let us ask the question. And the Republicans and Democrats, as you rightly said, they have been against Cuba. Why is it that they're against Cuba? For what reason?
They don't want a communist country on their doorstep. That's the ideology of.
They don't want a communist country on their doorstep, but they don't have any problem with a communist country.
Say it again.
They do not want a communist country on their doorstep.
That's right.
But they don't have a problem with a communist country elsewhere.
Yeah.
because they're far away. They thought they want to hold on to this hemisphere here and keep
All right.
that sort of
So
stuff.
under the
out the way.
Monroe Doctrine, which is somewhat anachronistic, but let's say it still follows under Trump, because Trump has revived it, as you know. And he is saying that they want to control this part of the hemisphere. In other words, we do not have no independence in the sense of sovereignty. We don't want to go by where we decide.
Yeah.
Is that fair to
As
them?
long as they're not communists.
Yeah. So they don't have a right to choose the political ideology.
But they have not invaded Cuba.
So I think ask you because I could understand why your association with Trump has such affinity. But let me ask you this question. When I come back to Trump, do you believe that because they are the dominant power, not just in the hemisphere, but in the world, does that give them the right to decide for Belize and all of us what kind of political ideology we must favor?
It has been said.
They allow Belize. You know what Belize should have done? Belize should have played around with socialism and communism. We would have got all the financial aid that we wanted. Do you notice how many countries in America supported that are right?
So why they never give the financial aid to Cuba?
They get all the aid. They get
why
all
they
the
never give financial aid
We
to
are a
Cuba?
good little country. We're a democratic country,
Cuba, man?
but we
Mr.
don't get the
Spooner.
big aid like those fascist
If you
countries
say by
in South
playing with
America.
socialism, you won't get aid. Then why they never aid Cuba? Why they never aid Cuba?
Because they're socialists.
But I thought you said
if we went socialist, we'd get it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we could have played with socialism, communism, and America would not have wanted that, and they would have done anything to stop it by financial aid. They would have helped us out. Look how good we are.
We got regime change. We got regime change.
Hold on. We are a democratic country, and we've gone all by the rules and so on. We don't have no guerrillas in our country. We have no fascist dictators and so on. But America supported all those countries except us, in a sense that all the financial aid that they gave those countries.
To what countries?
You notice the aid they gave is always for militarization.
Yes, because they want to keep it more right than they want to keep it left.
But nobody really wants that.
I don't want to live on a regime like there's one in we all talk about in America about our freedom of speech and so on, and we don't have that, but yet you don't say that about Cuba. Cuba, they don't have a freedom of speech. They can't gather and assemble and protest. They can't. There's no opposition. But yet you say in America we want that, even though it's there.
I believe that Cuba is what they call a benevolent dictatorship. Cuba has many faults, and the leadership has many faults. But what they have done for their people has been great.
Not only their people,
right now, like starving and no electricity
and for the world,
blah blah blah. Come on.
Yes.
Look, you know what? Castro did the right thing. Bautista and the mafia were involved, and the right-wing people, the oligarchy and so on, were involved in Cuba. And the people were oppressed, okay?
Yes.
I got no problems if Fidel did what he did, okay?
Right.
So he did what he did, but then he took power and he didn't want to give it up, and he wanted everybody to live like how he saw people should live. That is wrong. He didn't give his people a chance to make a decision if that's how they wanted to live. Why did 3 million people immigrate and leave and go to America or around the Caribbean? They didn't want to live under that system
because they had the money and they weren't allowed to keep all that money. As the socialism came into play. You don't like socialism, but there are people who
I just told you about the socialism
should live
with DTL. I agree with that. I agree that we should give a helping hand to those who are less fortunate than some of us that do okay. I have no problem with that. None at all. So I'm telling you, I'm a weird kind of person because I have one foot in the left and I have another foot in the right. That's me. How you want to pigeonhole me? Go ahead and pigeonhole me.
Jeremy, you have 9 toes in the right and 1 in the left. Let's be real.
No. You don't know me.
You didn't dip one toe.
You don't know me.
Jeremy, we are going by what you're saying. You reveal yourself when you speak. We've been on the show
because I believe in democracy, G. Mike. I believe that the people of Cuba should have a right to decide who.
Yes, that is what we're saying. Yes,
do you agree with that?
Yes.
Would you like to live like Cuba? Would you want Belize to be a dictatorship?
No, but look at the
You're
threat that
stretching it
Cuba.
too far. I've been to Cuba several times. I don't see the kind of oppression that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
you're able to walk around. There's very little crime.
Live there and visited are two different things.
But
Just like you said about Belize.
look at the threat that Cuba has lived under for 50, 60 years
Yeah.
as a result of the imposition of this country. Look,
But
they can't get food, they can't buy goods, they can't trade, they have constant blockade
Because
and
they
stuff.
don't like the leadership. That's
Yeah,
crazy. There are a lot of people who don't like the leadership of the US. Can somebody go there and just change the regime? Because that is what has happened in about 64 countries over the past 20 or so years. And
Yeah,
are
because-
you saying you believe that America has the right to do that and should do
No,
that?
I understand why they do it. It doesn't mean I have to support what they're doing, but I understand what they're doing. Okay.
What do you understand?
Just like I don't have to love Trump, but I can support some of his policies that he does, and that's what you guys don't understand.
No,
What
there's
do you
some
mean we
policies,
don't? You
there's
don't
some
know.
policies of President Trump that I
Of course.
definitely agree
Exactly.
with.
It doesn't mean
I
I'm a
think
Trumpster.
everybody.
Okay.
Oh, don't say that. You are a Trumpster.
I'm
Let's
not
be
a
real.
Trumpster. I'm not a Trumpster.
Jeremy.
I believe in some of the policies that he does. And I got no problem with ICE.
And what are those
I don't got
policies?
no problem closing the border. None at all.
All right,
I would
fine.
not want it to happen in Belize. I don't
Fine.
want Belize to take over.
All right. Now,
All right.
but do you believe that he should have the right to just have those regime changes, go into a country and extract the president of that country?
Whether he
You
has the
think
right,
that's all
okay,
right?
I look at it that I understand why they're doing it, okay? And if it protects me from the ideology of communism spreading into my country, or Belize didn't like it when they suspected Assad and Said about communism. They were up all in arms about that. You remember that, right?
I don't see your point.
Suppose we had turned communist. Would you want to be communist in Belize?
I don't see your point. I mean, I really you're using that fear factor. Go ahead, Joe.
I would like to see a more dispassionate and objective analysis of ideologies. No. What is it that you find abhorrent to a country that will not give free elections, that will not allow free speech, but you find that your family, your children have access to education, good education, they have access to healthcare.
Yeah.
Their parents have good jobs, they have homes, they have nice vehicles. The simple thing is that they do not choose their leaders and they do not speak against the regime. But you have all the other material benefits of life. You have over 1.3 billion people. You have become the second largest in the world. In 40 years, you move 800 people out of poverty. The World Bank call it a miracle. Look at China. Tell me something. Would you prefer to live in a country where it claims to be democracy, it claims to have freedom of speech, although most of the people have nothing to say? It claims to have free election, and they elect a bunch of people who are just patronage systems, where they bleed the people out of their finances. I would think that ideology could be looked at, maybe perhaps theoretically first. If you look at the case of Grenada, again, right in the region now, when they removed Gary had the support, evidently, of the people like the United States because he was playing their game, but he was oppressing his people. Then the group came up with Bernard Cord and Maurice Bishop. They're all coming back from the UK. He did a law in the UK. Much of them were studying the UK. And they came back to America, but they were already imbued with the Marxist-Leninist thinking. So they were prepared and they get rid of Gary. They remove him. You think about it, they had a division within their own grouping and they killed Maurice Bishop. I asked myself, we have to stop and just want to condemn this one and that one. What is it that was so bad about Cuba? Except that when Fidel maybe took over, He take away the wealthy people, them plantations, them big mansions, and they had to flee. And they got in America. And those are the ones who, because then them lot of them in Miami, they can give political support. I think that's all that the Americans have against Cuba. It's not about Cuba being communist.
Yeah.
They never need to Cuba to be no democratic country where they vote. They're not interested in because they
It
can't vote
is
to them.
purely political. It is purely
That's right.
political.
It's simply because no, they never like the Cubans. I've been to in Miami. They seen Cubans where they had to pull out Cuba, where fled Cuba. That they made oppress people. I know they tell you say, I wouldn't want, I'd prefer to live where I can have the freedom of speech. I like that. But I got something to say. So I decided, I don't agree with what Trump is doing. I don't agree with what America has been doing to Cuba. Not any of the countries in the region. And let me point out some of the things then quickly. Do you agree that if a country not support you for want to take a country like Greenland, and then he raised the tariff on you because you don't agree with that? Do you agree with the president of one most powerful country in the world use tariff, use all kind of thing to victimize you? Do you agree with our president who every year under the National Association for Governors is one of the events where all the governors go to, of the 54 governors they have, then brainstorm things at the luncheon where the president said. And the president this time only invited the Republicans. Is that the kind of president we want for America? A president that is putting tariff on Canada just because he don't like something what they do? Mr. Spooner, but I find it hard to see how Fiend virtues could outweigh Fiend faults. It's difficult. So if we want democracy, I agree that the best chance, I think America will definitely get rid of Trump. Well, he going himself. But you watch what happened in America already. You saw what happened there. The elections, the last one, they come in on lower level, where the Trump may win by over 20 odd points. Strong Republican era. The Democrat won, and by big margins. So to me, the American people, they had enough of Trump.
I don't think that we'll be able to sway Jeremy's opinion. Because speaking of one of the elections, Mamdani, and I got somebody sent me a news clip that I believe Mamdani has appointed as his health commissioner a young man who was a Belizean father, and after looking into it and asking some questions, it's been confirmed that his father was Bert Tucker. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bert Tucker.
Yeah,
I know who he was.
Yeah, he was well known and an activist also.
Yeah.
But interesting, but it goes to show that Belize does have talent. Belize, imagine if we had homegrown people of this caliber, we might be a whole lot farther along, no? So,
well, Mr. Chairman, I support the views that we have talent and we cannot give up on Mr. Spooner. I think if we sit around the table, I think we can be able to convince him. He's not.
What do you want to convince me of? What do you
want
Mr.
Spooner want to join up against you? No. Mr. Spooner, what I want to convince you of, not to support democracy when it's only a veneer democracy. Let's support the principles that define it. When you are straying away from it, you cannot support. You could claim to be a Christian. I am a Christian. But when you conduct yourself unchristian-like, I can't support you.
You know, when we talk about socialism and totalitarian, we have to think about countries like Singapore that succeeded under those extreme conditions, and where, like you said, in Cuba, the crime rate was low. They were able. Cuba would prosper if such heavy regime of sanctions wasn't placed on them. They would have been a prosperous country. They have resources, but you know the way. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the elections in Barbados, where the prime minister won 30 seats. And I want to get your impression on that, with your permission, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
by all means.
Um, how do you think democracy functions when repeatedly, this is the third time that she has gone out to election and has won all the seats in parliament? And I'm wondering what's going on in that society, and if you had any insight, you guys.
Joel, are you aware of
Yeah,
that?
I'm very much in touch with Barbados.
Uh,
I have family ties, friends. I even have people in government.
is it that things are so good?
No, I think it is that they have a weak opposition. And
Uh, like
hold on.
Belize, but
No, the opposition is weak, relatively speaking. Mia Matley comes over to many Barbadians as arrogant, but there's no doubt Mia Matley is one of the most respected person internationally today,
she's
which
brilliant.
is good for the Caribbean. Of course,
She's
she is.
popular. Yeah, she's popular.
Very. And a matter of fact, she was the person who they were pinpointing to be the next Secretary General at the United Nations. Of course, it's gone. Oh, so it don't be there. She went to a conference in Africa where they had a meeting of all the ministers of finance, and she addressed them. Africa was prepared to put all their votes behind her if he was to go for the. Everywhere she goes, she has respect. The lady is a brilliant lady, to the point now that some are beginning to believe she's becoming arrogant. I really had my differences with people very close to me in Barbados who were one time supporting her, but seems to be saying that she's getting a bit too high-handed. So when he swept the polls for the third time, I think.
Yes.
And if it, so
but,
to
but
me,
you know, an easy wears the head that wears the crown, and that every leader has had their set of haters and objectors.
Yeah, my poor little Trump. Look what you all do to him.
Poor little Trump,
Oh, my
my
poor little Trump.
ass.
My God, you
Little Trump.
can't leave the poor
My-
boy alone. You just batter every day.
Seriously, Jeremy, seriously,
I'm
you.
serious.
Yeah,
but
Joe,
Mr. Spooner's had said something that he said that there were good things about him. But we hear the good because maybe he could convince us. Let's hear the
Only
good.
about 3 good things about him. Don't go on.
but that's enough.
But we can hear what are the 3 good things. Maybe they outweigh the other things.
He doesn't, but let me tell you something. The man does not bother me at all. You know why? Because I have faith in the American Constitution. Exactly what is happening right now. There is pushback in America, and the Constitution protects the American people against anything that they feel is tyrannical, authoritarian, totalitarian,
You know,
fascist, Gestapo, whatever. I believe in it. I lived there for 11 years. I understand America. I like America. I
let me
understand what
tell
is
you.
going on. White America, white culture, they feel threatened right now because right now they're only 60%. In 2040, 2060, they're going to be a minority. And they may not own the country like what they used to own it. So there's a fear there. You got some people that are thinking like that. Maybe that's what Trump represents to some of those people. You know, so what else can I say?
I lived there 20 years, 21 years. I'm saying that
Different
when
times like me.
at the election, a bit more actually. When the last election, I got in trouble for I said I felt Trump was the better of the 2 candidates because I felt that I took him to his word. Number one, that he would stop the wars. He said he would stop one war the next day, which interested that you would say you don't want one communist on your doorstep, but that was kind of like Putin's reason for going to war with Ukraine. They didn't want.
I can understand Russia's position
NATO.
too.
All right, so but I'm saying what I felt was that America had in place the guardrails, the checks and balance to keep anybody like Trump in check. I'm not so sure anymore after we see what he has been doing. That ICE thing. Put
What
the
do you
military
fear?
on the street.
What do you fear Trump's going to do? Tell me, what do you guys fear that
Then
Mr. Trump is
what
going to
he's
do
gonna
for
do
America?
what he has already done.
No, what's he going to do?
Put
What's
the
he gonna do?
military in the street, oppress people of color, bring in the white South Africans and people.
Don't you remember the time of the
Make
civil rights when the
America
military
white?
was on the street?
Huh? Beg your pardon?
Oh, you don't remember the civil rights movements when there were the riots and so on, the military was on the street? You don't remember that?
But not in this way, Jeremy. Not
It
going
doesn't
after
matter.
regular
You're telling me
citizens.
he brings military on the street. I'm saying that military has been on the street in America
But
before.
everybody wants silly thing because it's not the same
It's not the same.
thing. They're not the same.
No.
You're no man.
You think okay,
Again,
why
you're
is he a
grasping at
fascist? Tell me
straws.
why he's a fascist. Why is he get slapped on a Nazi?
He's racist. The man, and again, that the word racist, because I use it sparingly, but he does not like anybody that's not white. Let's be real. And because you're white, you don't
how come he
mind.
has so many supporters of that are non-white? How come he has so
Why,
many?
we'll
Are
have
they
to
all
see.
Uncle Toms, like you want to call them?
We'll have to see him. No, because they all believe that he would do what he said he would do. He
Well,
came
let him
in.
do what he's gonna do, and then give him a chance. All they're doing
He's
is
not what
him
chance.
down.
He's been there a year. We see what he's done.
What can you accomplish in 1 year? Give him
How
his
do
4
you
years.
how do you feel about supporting the state of Israel, or the illegal state of Israel, to the tune of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars every year? How do you
And
feel
only
about that?
Trump did that, right? There's only Trump. Trump of
No,
all the
no, no.
presidents in the United-
But he's there now. How do you
Yes.
feel about it, Jeremy?
How do I think of what's going on in the Middle East is not correct at all. I understand what has happened with the state of Israel, but I do not like what they did in the Gaza Strip and what they're doing right now. That Israel is still bombing the Gaza Strip right now, and also on the West Bank, and they're
Right.
still killing people.
And the
I don't
settlers
agree
are,
with any of that.
and
How could I
settlers are
agree with
taking over
something
their
like that?
homes.
How could I agree with something like that?
How do you feel about the support, the military support and the financial support to the tune of $300 billion every year, and since in particular this genocide started a couple of years ago?
Well, I think that Europe and America should stop supporting all these selling arms to all these countries where there's massacres and things going on.
Okay.
But what happens if Israel falls? What will happen? They don't want Israel to fall. They have an
Why?
interest.
What happens if Israel falls? You tell me.
Huh?
What do
The
you
Middle
think
East
happens?
becomes the Middle East becomes unstable.
But it's unstable now.
Yes, but
How more stable can it?
You would not have anybody being pro Europe or pro America, right? And they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose that
But
foothold.
how
that
do
they
you
have
know?
there.
How do you know? They've not. I mean, they
Do
might
they not
very
have-
well be more.
Why do you think America's there? You think they love
Can
the
they-
Saudi Arabians? Huh?
Why are they there? Because they
They're
like
there
that
because they
European
do
state
business
and
and oil. And oil. It's all the boils down to oil. You need
maybe-
a stable Middle East.
that
And they
is.
see
But
that
the Middle East is not stable, Jeremy.
I
Israel has
know.
bombed every country around it, and maybe they would like America more if America is more fair towards all the people of the Middle
So, okay,
East.
so we don't support Israel. I'm not saying that I'm saying that we should support Israel. We don't support Israel. We leave them just like that. What will happen in the Middle East?
What will happen? You know, I mean, what will happen? There'll be
What will
peace.
happen?
There will be
What will
peace. There will be peace. The only countries destabilizing that area are the Israelis. Only them attack everybody. They bombed 7 countries in the last 2 years. 7.
You remember that the Europe and America have a guilt conscience of what happened to the Jews in World War II, right? So
And
that's
so
a big reason. That's a big reason too. I don't agree. I think they made a mistake in the formation of Israel, and we're seeing it now. I don't agree with that.
Okay. Well,
because
but
it's the promised land
that
and all
means
of that.
something.
I don't agree with that. How are you gonna get a book that they wrote centuries ago to say that they're the chosen people? I don't believe in all of that. All right, and
I
that's
want to
the
ask
premise.
one question. I want to
Yes.
ask one question. Who thief Bunna?
The Israelis.
And it's a funny thing because I was watching a clip from a Piers Morgan show when he was asking a lady, I think that one of the royal family, and they asked why, but she's prominent in the Epstein files, and we haven't spoken much about the Epstein files, and we might be the only show not doing so. But they asked her, well, why would they say, well, to bring down the government, the British government? And then Piers asked her, well, why? Who would do that? And she said, I don't know, maybe the Israelis. And right away they cut the clip. So they have been involved in some crazy things, you know. Now you realize now the Epstein files are pointing right back to the Israelis, don't you? And some of the stuff I could understand how they don't want to release all those files because some of that stuff, man, is heart wrenching. It's like crazy. I heard one thing about babies that they were taking advantage of and starving them because they suck harder when they're hungry. My God, did you hear some of the things that and some of this is now being released, but most of the names are also redacted, which is a new word I learned, by the way. I am just used to black hole thing, but now you're redacted. Why? Why are they redacting the names? Why don't
Yeah,
they
I
just?
agree. I agree. They shouldn't be. They should just give them just like that. But they're protecting people, aren't they? That's why they're censoring those
And,
But they
names.
and,
said the
and
only people they were supposed to protect were the people that were the victims of the.
you would think,
Well, you would hope so, but we
Yeah,
don't think it's that, do we?
yeah,
We
no,
think it's
you
protecting
know,
the predators.
you know whose name is in there.
Not mine
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, but Trump's a lot of times and in some crazy
But
situations.
have they
So
found anything
I
concrete?
think they have, and I
Bring
would
it out. Bring it out. I don't want
I would
nobody
hazard
indicted.
to guess that this is what would bring him down, because people, nobody will be happy about children being taken advantage
You
like
see,
that.
Clinton is mentioned in there quite a bit too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
A
Um,
Saudi Arabia minister. He was the one that's talking
but that
about
that doesn't take
he
any
tortured the underage girl, and he
that
liked it.
that takes no fault off of Trump, though,
Yeah, no,
by
no,
so
no.
pointing
let,
out others.
If they all fit the let them all punish.
let's
Go ahead,
change
Joe.
from some political
I'd like to know Joe
futuristic.
and Gregory's position on Israel too. Do they support Israel? What is this? What do they feel about
I
Israel?
would not support what Israel has been doing in the
But
case
do
of
you
that
support the
matter.
nation of Israel?
I do.
Okay,
I
all right,
do.
I
Yeah.
support the nation of Israel to exist as a country, but
okay.
what we are seeing,
Why, Greg? Why?
um, because I believe they have established themselves in the region.
All right,
What,
but yeah,
but
but
what,
that
but what they're doing is expansionist and cruel and is unfair. That's the way they
that
are killing.
that was
Palestinians.
obviously the plan from the start. That they have a plan for a greater Israel, which includes all those areas there. So that's the whole 1948 NAPCA and all of that. The horrendous stuff, you know.
Yeah.
This killing didn't start on October the 7th. The
Oh yeah.
history
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
of what is going on there did not start October 7th. And in fact, the week before, there were hundreds of people killed. So, I mean, I want terrible thing, because it's like you in your house, Jeremy, and somebody come there and say, 3,000 years ago, God gave me a promise
Oh
that this
yeah,
would be mine.
horrible, horrible.
Yeah,
But can somebody
I watch all those documentaries on Al Jazeera, and it shows you the Jewish guys, the ones with the plaits, with the Rasta plaits, that come down just walking in,
right.
and breaking up people's farms, killing their
Yeah.
sheep and so on, cutting
Yeah.
down their olive groves and so on, and kicking them off the land. It's
It's sick.
horrible.
It's
It's
sick.
horrible. It's sick.
somebody will know the history more than I may do or do. My recollection, and tell me here, I don't remember Israel as being offensive. I don't remember Israel going over.
Because
Oh,
we didn't get the news that we're getting now. We didn't
so
have
let
the
me
kind of
yeah,
technology then.
let me just finish it. Then I used to listen because we had radio, no TV. So I listened to armed forces, mostly American news,
You see what I'm saying?
because that's all we could get to.
You see what
And I
I'm saying?
remember the 6 Day War. I remember the Suez Canal.
Yes.
And then the little history I read on it is that it's not that Israel went on the offensive to take them over.
Uh-huh.
They were looking to get rid of Israel. And
Yeah.
Egypt was the ringleader then.
So
Egypt
tell me
was the,
something. Tell me something, Joe.
and then
At that point, hold on. No, I'm gonna. At that point of the 6 Day War, Israel was in existence for about 20 years. You think that in 20 years a country could develop to the point where they could withstand 7 nations coming at them from all angles? Didn't something seem interestingly funny to you at that point?
no, I think what the culture of them is something that could benefit us all. They are known to be highly disciplined people,
That's right.
very disciplined people. They are known to be geniuses because of their high level of thinking and education.
Yeah.
But they are known also to have been people who take advantage of other people. So
when
that
it
is,
comes to money in particular, they can't
well,
do
indeed,
anything
a
for
number
money.
of so I'm saying then that if Israel was not on the offensive, but it was the countries led by Egypt at the time that was on the offensive because they never wanted to tolerate them.
But
They wanted
that's
to get
not
rid of them.
fair. That's not fair for you to
Was it
say.
all right? So it was not that war at the time. It was
But
Israel that took
don't
them.
miss this point. It's not fair for you to say that when the news you were getting was from the armed forces over some radio programs, you weren't getting the different versions that we're getting now, and all the
No.
images coming out of there at that point. That NAFTA was a reality. They did move in and move out people. That the whole story about land for people without land and for a land without people for people with land was wrong, was disingenuous.
Yeah, I would not debate it. I differ with you because I don't know enough. I just try to ask, is that are we saying that when Egypt and then went on the offensive, it is because Israel was looking to acquire land beyond what they had?
Oh,
No, I don't think at that time. But once
No, I
Israel
don't think.
defeated them, Israel defeated them, they occupied the land, and since then they have been on an expansionist program that have been taking more and more of the Arab land, well beyond what
Yeah,
they.
I understand. Guys, the time and producer look like he ready for roll and cut way off. No, listen. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, my,
Well, let me just have-
my Patriots lost, and I had to listen to Bugs Bunny. Yeah.
Oh man!
My question is that-
what a show! What a show! I want to get to that because
And like the one, the Safarino song, the one about the wet panties and blowjobs and so on. I like that one there too.
by who? By who?
You never like that one there, G Mike?
By who? By who?
Huh? Oh,
Who?
by Big Bunny.
So you understood it? You understood what he was
The
saying?
girl lick all over and lick up a thing. Yeah, man.
You
never hear that one?
understand? Did you understand what he was saying then?
Of course I do. I speak Spanish. ¿Cuántos? Vámonos
Why
arriba.
don't you stop your food? Jeremy,
That's from
lie to
Continental
damn
Days.
much,
You
man.
remember that?
Yeah,
Well, I
right.
can leave you all with this one where a woman gave. Surprisingly, it was a woman. He said, all the women in heaven are angels. Is that correct? He said, yes. He said, so if all the women on earth go to heaven, what will happen? What's the answer? If all the women, since all the women in heaven are angels, if all the women on earth go to heaven, what will happen?
I guess it become hell.
No, there will be peace on earth.
Well, not
By the way,
not the
Mike,
peace we're looking for. Not the peace you get. I want my peace. Anyway, guys, listen to me. People, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. See why we're done here. Thank you.
All right. Good night, guys.
But we don't normal. With a coffee and we royal. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like toffee.
Yeah, but the Patriots lost.
But all the pretty girls stay to chase me.
My Patriots, they lost. They lost there.
And my
They
style
couldn't
sticky
handle. They
like
couldn't
toffee.
handle.
How could you
I
call
thought
me
they were going to win
when the loon
because it's symbolic of the direction Trump wants to go. I'm thinking, but maybe it proves that it's not a setup.
Ebenezer McGon, no please don't believe woman sweet like fruit pumpkin.
Wasn't even a game. Wasn't even a close game.
Confident said that
It
he
should have
scored two
inquisitive,
touchdowns
you
and
call me
he also only
no.
scored
Defend
one
me right,
touchdown.
all
So
of that
that's
is
something.
dancing. Me know the shoe
It wasn't
man,
Mayo's time. He get there.
Nobody, you know,
But I
Next
enjoyed
week,
the
yeah.
Bugs Bunny show. I did enjoy it. And then I watched the Maga one afterwards.
The man
I
gave
never
him
liked
more-
it.
man gave him more time.
No my music. I want to see Sparrow do the halftime and sing "Never Eat a White Meat Yet." You think that would have gone down good? Huh? I don't like that.
I enjoyed the whole halftime show. I know you were over there watching Kid Rock. That's all
I
right.
was watching those asses go up and down, boy. And they look good. Did you see the two guys robbing by the car? In the scrub one another? You never saw that, true?
No, I saw the wedding. I like the wedding.
No, right up after when Ricky Martin, what's his name? Ricky Martin is his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
After he sang, he went down, it panned, and he showed all the guys dancing, and there were two guys making out in the car, in the between the door and the car. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see.
Watch your tape again. Watch it.
I
I
will.
don't want to see that.
Good point.
You know, that.
I
Hey,
get-
you know what? I like that he promoted Puerto Rico. I just wish that he would have done subtitles at the bottom to help those ignorant ones in America that don't understand what Puerto Rico is all about.
If I had one criticism, it would be that they didn't have subtitles yet. But people felt that they wanted to be authentic Spanish.
But they could have the titles at the bottom. That wouldn't have interfered with it.
Okay, good night, gentlemen.
You're trying to tell the American a story about Latinos and Puerto Rico. Why take out? There's only 14% of them that speak Spanish
We
in
didn't,
America.
we didn't want you to understand what was being said. That's all.
Yeah,
Good
especially
night,
that
guys.
partner with the wet panties. Yeah.
Later.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Real. With a Kriol. But we no normal. With a coffee. And we royal. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like toffee. They could have holla say me ugly. But a loon pretty girl stay to chase me. Royal coffee. And my style sticky like toffee. How could you call me ugly? When a loon pretty girl stay to chase me. Minor, tell you things you make you catch feelings. Your mere existence, you want left to examine. Ebenezer me gone, me know for the squeeze dumpling. Believe woman, sweet like you pumpkin. See me, but you don't know me. Confident, say that me bossy. Inquisitive, you call me nosy. Defend me rights, holler at me chancy. Me know this show no mercy, we don't take no back chat from nobody. You don't have feel like me, but you must respect me. Tell this more. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like toffee. They could have holla say me ugly, but a lone pretty girl stay to chase me. Me cool and deadly. Machine gun Kelly. Machiavelli. Stay ready like Freddy. We have woman plenty. Woman the city, woman the country. You coulda act like you no want believe me. Ask Dwight, that me Bali. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like toffee. They coulda holla say me ugly.